Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, I'll turn it over to the clerk, Ms. Masua Colson, for the report vote, please.
Mayor Finch,
Yes.
Councillor Neeb,
Yes.
Councillor McLeod Haggart,
Yes.
Councillor Oak,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dietrich,
Yes.
Councillor Vaughn,
Yes.
Councillor Dietrich.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no.
Thank you very much. That carries. Next item, 8.9, please.
That South Huron Council received the report from the CAO Performance Review Committee and that the CAO be granted a COLA increase of 3% retroactive to January 1st, 2024, which is consistent with the COLA increase accorded to staff during our 2024 budget deliberations, and that the professional development allowance be set at $15,000 for the 2025 budget year.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, second by Councillor Oak. Any discussion? Not seeing any. I would just say thank you very much for your service. You've done a great job, and call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Next item, 9.1, please.
That South Huron Council receives the report from Selena McIntosh, planner, regarding Bill 185, Cutting Red Tape to Build More Homes Act 2024, and revised draft provisional planning statement, PPS, dated May 8th, 2024, for information.
And we'll have a mover and second to have Selena here. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Deputy Mayor. And welcome, Selena. How are you? Please proceed whenever you're ready.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I haven't had a presentation prepared this evening, but I'm happy to answer any questions of council as it may pertain to this report.
Great. Are there any questions? Councillor Neeb, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Selena, for the report. In the report, it talks about affordable respect to housing is now based on municipality as opposed to regional market area. And I'm just wondering what the difference would be and how would that be figured out? What is defined as affordable?
Thank you, Councillor Neeb. Through the mayor, yeah, there used to be a lot of reference to regional market areas. Previously, Huron has typically stuck to a municipal-wide outlook as it pertains to affordable housing. So this is something that we work with most recently Watsons and Associates when it comes to our population projections to also calculate, what is affordable or considered affordable in Huron. We also work closely with our housing staff at the county level to make those determinations as well. So I guess in terms of Huron's context, I don't see our approach changing too drastically from what it has been in the past.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Selena? Councillor Neeb?
I'm not sure if this is a question for Selena or if it's a question for Rebecca, but in the report, you also spoke of development charges and the 5-year phase-in being revoked. And I'm just wondering, like, would that would apply to our current development charges bylaw? Would we be able to not have the phase-in anymore, or do we have to wait for the bylaw to expire?
Ms. Masua Colson?
Through the mayor, our current DC bylaw, this is not applicable. It was only for a new one, and we are undergoing our current one now. So this is actually proposed right now. So if it does go through, then there will not be a phase in for the new one either. Okay.
Here.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, not seeing. Thank you very much, Selena. I'll call the question. All in favor? That carries with 5. Thank you very much. Okay, moving right along to 9.3, please.
That South Huron Council received the report from Melissa Keller, Manager of Environmental Services, Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks 2023 Inspection Report, South Huron Water Distribution System.
Moved by Councillor Neeb, second by Councillor Oak, and we welcome Melissa. How are you? Any questions for Alyssa at all? Councillor Oak, go ahead, please.
Just a comment, just congratulations, well done, 100% again. As it says, 13th time, so congratulations.
Thanks, Alyssa. Any other comments at all at this time? No, it's great. We've got a great team there, Alyssa, and we appreciate all you do. And I think you've got a great mentor that's been helping out quite a bit for the last 13 years to bring us to this. So thanks for everything that everybody does in the wastewater department for sure. So we have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, call the question. All in favor? That carries with 7. Thank you. 9.3.2.
The South Huron Council received the report from Don Giberson, General Manager of Infrastructure and Development, read 2024 requests for proposals for engineering services, and that South Huron Council accepts the proposal received from GM Blue Plan Engineering and authorizes the award of a professional services contract to GM Blue Plan Engineering for the following projects: the design, approvals, and preparation of tender package for the reconstruction of Gidley Street East, Main to Andrew, Hardy Street, Senior to East End, Alexander Street West, McConnell to Francis, McConnell Street, Alexander Street to South End, and Baldwin Street, Main to Andrew, in the total amount of $62,740 plus HST, and future services for tendering, contract administration, and construction inspection in the amount of $189,315 plus HST, subject to council approval of a future budget. And that South Huron Council accept the proposal received from BM Ross and Associates and authorizes the award of a professional services contract to BM Ross and Associates for the following projects: design, approvals, and preparation of tender package for repairs to Beeline structure number 1096 in the amount of $13,400 plus HST, and future services for tendering, contract administration, and construction inspection in the amount of $16,400 plus HST, subject to council approval of a future capital budget. Design, approvals, and preparation of tender package for the Huron Park Sewage Pumping Station Equalization Tank in the amount of $39,850 plus HST, and future services for tendering, contract administration, and construction inspection in the amount of $48,995 plus HST, subject to council approval of a future capital budget. Design, approvals, and preparation of tender package for the rehabilitation of the Exeter Sewage Lagoon sand filters in the amount of $21,818.50 plus HST, and future services for tendering, contract administration, and construction inspection in the amount of $51,743.50 plus HST, subject to council approval of a future capital budget.
Does anyone want her to repeat that? Do you have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oak, second by Councillor Vaughn. Any discussion? Deputy Mayor, go ahead. Oh, sorry, Councillor Oak, you moved it. So did you have a question? Go ahead, sir. Yeah, and then we'll go to Deputy.
Thank you. Just wondering if, hi Don, if there happens to be a delay in starting one of these projects, how does that affect the engineering for the second part? Is that built in there, or would that have to be re-looked at?
Mr. Giberson, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Through you, Mayor Finch, that is built into the equation. The street reconstruction projects are 2026 construction projects, so we're giving ourselves time to complete the engineering so that they are tender ready for a future construction year. And there is a contingency plan built into the 2 projects that, or sorry, the 3 projects that are 2025 starts, which are the bridge, the equalization tank, and the sand filters.
Follow up.
Thank you.
Deputy, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I'm just looking at the 2026. Like, could we not do that engineering next year for 2026? I understand going out that far, but if there's other projects that come up in between that have to be done, are we going to lose any of this money?
Mr. Giberson?
Through you, Mayor Finch, no, this is really good, solid future planning. So we already have the engineering in place for our 2025 proposed capital. So this positions us well to have our designs complete and our up-to-date budgets and approvals in place. And then we can deal with any unforeseen circumstances, such as the Victoria Street project that required hydropole relocations. So that allows time to deal with those issues. So this is just really good advanced planning, and it has no effect on the cost for any other projects.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, not seeing any. We have a mover and a seconder. There's no further discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries a 6. Thank you. Next item, please. 9.3.3.
That South Huron Council receives a report from Don Giberson, General Manager of Infrastructure and Development, Dashwood Main Street Reconstruction Project Update.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, second by Councillor Oak. Any discussion? Councillor Vaughn, go ahead, please.
Yes, I have a couple of questions about this project. Started out as a 1-year project. Now it's a 2-year project. Now I'm seeing a 3-year project with the surface asphalt being proposed to be completed in 2026. And I'm just thinking that's a long time to have that disruption in the town of Dashwood. So is that something new? Can we speed that up? Is it possible to make that happen in 2025?
Mr. Giberson?
Yes, through you, Mayor Finch. All of those decisions are Huron County decisions. I understand the phasing is related to the municipal drain work that was added to the project, and the project had expanded in scope. So it's not related to any of the South Huron work. But unfortunately, it's just too large a project to complete in 1 year. I would love to have this done or completed in a single year, but that's the underlying reason is there's considerably more storm sewer or it's municipal drain work that's required as part of the project, and it's a capacity issue for the county. So the county made this decision, but that's the basis for the phasing. And the project had always been planned that the bulk of the project would be done in 1 year and the surface asphalt would be completed the following year. So what's happening now is the county is phasing the bulk of the project over 2 years, split at Center Street. And then the surface asphalt, which is just a good construction practice, to be done the following year to allow everything to settle down.
Okay, thank you. Follow up? No.
Yes, thank you, Don, for that response. So this question wasn't planned before, but it's a question to our 2 county reps. Is it possible for you to bring up to the county this concern that I have in terms of elongating this into a year 3? This is a traffic disruptor, specifically if we're expecting anyone, well, traffic to the lake, traffic from the lake, people coming into Exeter, people going to the Whole Pig, just for the people of Dashwood. I realize that we split it into 2 years, but if there's any way at all that the staff can take a look at working to have this completed in 2025, I certainly would appreciate it, being a counselor from that ward.
Deputy, you want to comment before I go to Councillor Oak? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the completion in 2025 is going to be the road. That asphalt is always done a year after because of the settlement. I believe Mr. Giberson already said that, and I think as far as us going back to the county, we can go to the county, but it's pretty well set in stone now of of the time limit it's going to take because the tenders have been let. Thank you.
And there are rules too as to what kind of construction can be done. Like you can't have too many contractors in one area at a time. Mr. Giverson, would you be able maybe expand on that, what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, through you, Mayor Finch. The other aspect of the work is there's major hydro pole relocations on this project, and the pole line, the overhead hydro, is owned by Festival Hydro. And in order to facilitate that hydro pole relocation, they are also working in phases. So under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, you cannot have two contractors working in the same location at the same time. So they have to be separated by either time or space. So Festival Hydro are working on the hydro pole relocations in the phase 2 area, which is east of Center Street, while the contractor employed by the county is working from Center Street west. And then in 2025, they will flip and Festival Hydro will complete the hydro pole relocations in the westerly section, while county's contractor, Danbury Drainage, will complete all works east of Center Street, the installation of the water main and all the road works. So that's another element to this, the extent of the overhead hydro relocations. And there would not be enough time to have Festival Hydro relocate all the poles and then start the road construction. So phasing it over 2 years is more of a practical matter under contract. Deputy Mayor Dietrich is also correct. The county has already awarded the contract. So that presents another complication to try to amend the schedule at this point. But it is a county decision. It's not a South Huron decision.
Thank you. Deputy, go ahead.
And just a bit of a follow-up, I think they didn't want to shut the road down. And if they try to do it in 1 year, they'll have to close the road. So I think their idea was to keep traffic flowing without going around a detour. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Oak, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple comments. The third year, the asphalt, basically, they'll be able to keep the road open and just doing one side. It'll probably happen over 2 days, I would imagine, the way they pave nowadays. But it'd just be both one lane on one side, one, couple days and a couple days the other. But the one question I did have though is this project is all included in our 2024 budget. I noticed that there's an amount that's over the budgeted amount, and is that going to be put into the 2025 budget that's coming, the amount that's over, or did we have the whole amount in our 2024 budget?
Mr. Giverson?
Through you, Mayor Finch. The project, there's two projects for two capital projects for South Huron. One is the sidewalk and boulevard work, and the second project is the water main. So the sidewalk work phased over 2 years is within the amount that was budgeted in 2024. So that particular budget, now that the project is phased over 2 years, we will spend the funds in 2024. The unspent funds will be carried over to 2025 and used at that time. So we have sufficient budget currently approved in a 2024 budget for the sidewalk and boulevard work. The water main, with the phasing, we have an approved 2024 budget of 1.2 million, and it is approximately 93,000 over that that budget. So the tendered amount at the present time is over the amount that's been budgeted for 2024, but with the phasing, we are only going to spend half of that in 2024, and when the second phase occurs in 2025, then we will require or may require additional funds. So the rationale for approaching it this way was that these numbers are based on the tendered amount. And there are provisional items and contingency amounts in that contract. So when phase one is done, by the time we're in the budgets for 2025, we will know whether we will have the full amount covered in our 1.2 million. And this is opposed to doing a budget amendment now that may not be required. So once the 2025 budget process starts, we will know the much closer to the actual expenditure in 2024 and give us a better idea whether we actually need those additional funds in 2025. And it would be subject to a budget discussion or an amendment at that point. But right now, we only know what's in the tender phased over 2 years.
Councillor Oak.
Yes, no, and thanks, Don. And yeah, just what we know today is that we're basically, in my mind, we're doing a pre-approval for a 2025 budget item for $93,000 today based on the tender that came in.
Mr. Giverson.
Through you, Mayor Finch, the way staff looks at this is that's an approved project for 2024 to the amount of 1.2 million. So we're not approving or not requesting a pre-approval for 2025 budget discussions. We are leaving this completely flexible and open for council's discussion and consideration during the 2025 budget process if it's necessary to request those additional funds. So it's a commitment for the 1.2 million that's already been approved in the 2024 budget.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Vaughn.
Yes, there is also a paragraph in the report that talks about a request from Blue Water for the water main oversizing, and there's a cost of $36,000 for that particular piece of work. So it's not, the 36,000 is not actually included in our grid. And so I'm just wondering how that's being accounted for. Is that something separate that the county is dealing directly with Blue Water, or what can you tell us?
Mr. Giverson.
Through you, Mayor Finch, I really appreciate that you asked that question. The 36,000 is currently included in our cost. So the tendered cost includes some oversizing work to install some larger water main crossings to the Blue Water side. These were requested by Blue Water. They were costed out based on the difference in the unit prices in the contract. And so they are included in our tendered cost, and we are then dealing directly with Blue Water on any oversizing. The reason why it was done this way is this same issue is at Blue Water Council tonight. So it was a request from the staff, the Blue Water staff, that was included in the tender document. So it's in our cost at the moment. So if Blue Water Council approve that at their council meeting tonight, then the oversizing will proceed, and Blue Water will be compensating us to the amount of the 36,000 and change, and it will reduce that 90-some thousand oversight or overage down into the more of the closer to $60,000. So if Blue Water Council decides not to proceed with this oversizing, then a change order will be issued to the contractor to remove those items, and our cost will then go down by the 36,000.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Vaughn, follow up.
Okay, so that sounds like either way our costs will go down by $36,000.
Mr. Giverson?
Through you, Mayor Finch, that is correct. In reporting it this way, the South Huron staff didn't want to be presumptuous that it already had been approved by the Blue Water Council, because we know it is at their council meeting tonight. So that's why we approached it this way. We are obligated for the water main cost, and we knew the oversizing was in the county's tender, but the tender is set up so that if it proceeds, Blue Water will pay, and if it doesn't proceed, then the costs go down.
Thank you for that. Thanks.
Great, thank you, and Councilor Oak.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks, Don, for that explanation. The 36,000, if there happens to be any hiccups with that, are they covering the contingency as well?
Mr. Giverson?
Yes, through you, Mayor Finch. This is a unit price contract, so that's the reason why we have it as estimated amount. It will be based on the actual work performed. So that's the magnitude of the price based on the unit price in the contract and the quantities that are in the contract. So if it's different, if it's more or less, the cost to Blue Water will be the actual cost. So it's a very fair approach, but we're using the unit prices in the contract. So you run into something really horrible, there would be additional costs, but if there are savings, they realize the savings.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giverson. Any other questions? Okay, not seeing it. We have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor? That carries with 7. Thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Giverson. And move on to 9.4, Government Services. Ms. Masu Carlson, please.
That South Huron Council receives a report of Stacy Jeffrey, Community Relations Manager, regarding Inclusive Community Grant Funding Program, and the council authorizes staff to proceed with an application to the Inclusive Community Grants Funding Program for the installation of 2 accessible parking spaces, aisle, and connective pathway at the Exeter and District Swimming Pool.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor Vaughn. Any discussion? Councillor Vaughn, go ahead, please.
Yes, I just wanted to thank Stacy. She's not on tonight. Oh, she is. Ah, there she is. Okay, I just wanted to thank Stacy for the detailed report. This looks like a great accessibility project, kind of tying in that whole recreational area down there. My question the one question I do have is around that stone Gambion that you've described, and we have a picture of that. And I know you're going to be removing it as part of the scope of the project, but I'm also wondering if when you're discussing amongst staff, if anyone actually came up with the reason for why that Gambion was there in the first place. Knowing that you're going to remove it, is that going to create any kind of unintended consequence, like vehicular traffic heading on up the path or something along those lines?
Welcome, Ms. Jeffrey. How are you?
Good, thanks. Through you, Mayor Finch. Great question, Councillor Vaughn. So that stone will be removed. So as you can see, it actually impedes the direct path of travel. However, included in the budget are for items for bollards. So that'll be placed appropriately, not directly within the path of travel, but wide enough so someone can access the path and on either side. So there still will be something to prevent vehicles from accessing the path. It'll just be configured differently to better improve that accessibility of the path.
Thank you. Any other follow-up? No? Great. Any other questions? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you very much, Stacy. Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. And moving along, 9.4.2.
The South Huron Council receives a report from Aaron Moore, Financial Analyst, and Julia Warwick, Director of Financial Services Treasurer, re 2023 4th Quarter Operating Budget Variance Report.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor Dietrich. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? That carries with 7. Thank you. 9.4.3, please.
That South Huron Council receives a report from Julia Warwick, Director of Financial Services Treasurer, re 2025 Asset Management Plan Procurement Authorization, and that South Huron Council approve the single source procurement method with PSD Citywide Inc. for the Asset Management Plan update and consulting.
And a mover, please. Deputy Mayor, seconded by Counselor Neeb. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carries with 7. Thank you. Next one, please.
That South Huron Council receives a memo of Rebecca Msuya Collison, re Kirkton Woodham Community Complex Agreement status update, and that council approve the Kirkton Woodham Community Complex Agreement as presented, and that the necessary bylaw be forwarded to council for the required 3 readings.
And a mover, please. Counselor Oak, seconded by Counselor McLeod Haggett. Any discussion? Counselor Vaughn, go ahead, please.
Yes, I was just wondering if if we're doing away with the advisory portion of this complex.
Ms. Masuda Carlson.
Through the chair, this agreement just removes that because the complex agreement isn't the place to create it. Councils can establish a community committee if that's something that they do so desire. So the administering municipality, Perth South, is actually looking into the governance structure.
Okay.
So after they're actually bringing this agreement to their meeting this week. And then the next steps will be deciding how it will look like in future. I know that they do want to work with the community partners. So I would expect that at some point there might be something established. Perhaps Councillor Oak might have a little bit more information on that.
Counselor Oak, comments?
Thank you, Rebecca and Mayor. Yes, so this is the overarching complex agreement, and the idea would be to have potentially like a Friends of the Pool Committee and Community Center group and the Optimist all as a committee or maybe subcommittees to funnel information up to the administrating municipality. And still work through all the channels with the community groups. They're just thinking that it'd be better to have one overarching agreement first and then spin down from there, because there's times where it makes sense to have input from the various different committees for a certain project or whatever. So as opposed to one taking the lead or not. So it's still a work in progress yet. The first thing, and I wanted to thank Rebecca for her tenacity to get this to this point with Perth South and our the insurance and the legal side of things. So yeah, looking forward to the next steps from here. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other follow-up? Counselor Vaughn.
Yes, thanks for that. And I do have another question, different question. So who owns the asset today, the assets over there today?
So those assets are all owned jointly.
50,
Municipality of South Huron
50?
and Perth South 50-50, yes.
Okay. And I did notice also an amendment, a change in that document that what was struck through actually talked about ability to buy the asset for 50% of appraised value. And now it's basically saying 100% of the appraised value. And I just wondered what happened there.
Through the chair, there were just the discussions as far as providing just a different option for the municipality of South Huron. It was just the agreement that we had gone through. It was just a change of decision.
Counselor Vaughn.
Okay, so I just was thinking about the math. If we already own 50%, then why would we ever pay 100% of the appraised value of that asset if it ever came on the open market? Like, it looks like we have a first right of refusal, but then why would we pay 100% if we already of appraised value if we already own 50%? Did we mean to make that change? I just don't get that.
No, we did not mean to make that change. Let me clarify that before I bring that back. To see whether that is the understanding, because that wasn't the way that we had understood it. So
Okay,
I'll bring a
okay,
memo back.
I'm good with
Yeah.
clarity. It's just it
Yeah.
kind of, I didn't quite get that.
Okay.
Mhm.
No, that makes
Thanks.
sense. Thank you.
Councillor Oak.
Yeah, yeah, I agree that basically you'd be buying to take over the 100%, so it'd be 50%, right? Because we already own 50%. So yeah, just to clarify that for sure.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, I'll call a question. All in favor? That carries a 7. Thank you. And moving right along, next item, please, 9.4.5.
Okay. That South Huron Council receives a memo from Rebecca Msuya-Collison, Chief Administrative Officer, Relake Huron Water Supply System, appointment to steering committee, and that the CIO and blank be appointed to the steering committee for the consideration of a joint municipal services board and municipal services corporation.
Okay, so we need to fill in the blank. Deputy, go ahead.
Do we have someone now, excuse me, sits on that board?
Councillor Dietrich.
Maybe that's who should be on this then is.
Councillor Dietrich, yeah, can you turn your mic on? Your comments, please?
I talked to Rebecca about it, and she feels that we're quite capable of looking after that job.
Okay, so we'll put your name in the blank. Okay, very well. Any other comments? I'm happy to do if anyone else wasn't willing to do it, but if you're happy to do that, that's fine. Okay, so Councillor Dietrich, you're now filled in there and be appointed and call a question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you very much.
I don't believe we got a mover and a seconder for that
Let's
one.
do a mover and a seconder there. Let's go with that. That mover, please. Councillor Oak, seconded by Councillor Neeb, and we'll go with all in favor. And that carries with 6 still. Thank you. All right, moving right along, notice the motions, none noted, and items for discussion arise from the previous meetings. Any comments? Ms. Masuda-Carlson, please.
I will add that I did meet with Ms. Hatchborn and we had a discussion on the water-based charges.
Great, thank you for that. And moving right along from that, new business 12.1, Ms. Masuda-Carlson.
That South Huron Council sets a committee of the whole for Wednesday, June 5th, 2024, official plan at 4 p.m.
And a mover, please. Councillor Neeb, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? Councillor Vaughn.
Yes, on June 5th, I actually won't be in town. I will be en route to the FCM conference. And I would really like to be at a committee of the whole that talks about our official plan. So I don't know what caused this particular date, if it's county resources as well as our own, but if there can be some consideration for checking back for another date that is away from that conference, I would really appreciate that.
Perhaps we go to a doodle poll, maybe? Ms. Masuda-Carlson.
Through the chair, what if we left the resolution as is and then have a motion to defer and we can bring back alternate dates with a doodle poll or something to the next meeting?
Okay, and so for clarity, could you just read that motion then, and we know exactly what we're voting on here.
Okay, motion to defer the motion to set a committee of the whole for the official plan for June 5th. So the motion will be deferred to the May 21st, council meeting to set the date.
And a mover for that, moved by Councillor Oak, second by Councillor Neeb. And any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? That carries a 7. Thank you. And next item, please, when you're ready, Mayor and Councillor comments and announcements. Any comments, announcements from members of council? Councillor Bond, go ahead, please.
Yes, I just wanted to make a couple of comments on some upcoming things. One item is later this week. We've got the mayor's, is it this week? Yeah, mayor's breakfast, sorry, coming up Thursday, I believe it is at 7:30. I'm going to be attending that. And second thing is there's going to be at Oakwood Inn a community neighbors roundtable for the South Huron official plan. And I believe that's next week on Thursday as well. So I'm looking forward to attending that as well and hearing what our community members have to say about that, with their ideas on official plan. The other item, which I see in 14.8 correspondence, is the motion about the Huron County's Economic Development Group has put together a Thrive Summit for 2 days on May 13th and May 14th. I'm actually going to be attending on the second day of that. I'm looking quite forward to that. They actually have some items in there that I think relate nicely to what we did with our priority setting. One of the first sessions up on day 2 is talking all about making the most of the assets that you actually already have. And I'm looking very forward to hearing whatever ideas and bringing that back to the council table.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments under mayor and councillor comments and announcements? Councillor Oak?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Since our last regular council meeting, attended the Kirkton Woodham Optimus Fish Fry, very successful. It was a sellout, over 900 people there. So it was a great event. So, and the mayor was there as well. So anyways, just wanted to comment and congratulate the Optimus for another great event.
Yeah, and that was a great event. I was handing out plates and had good dialogue with a lot of the folks back there. It's quite a very strong community to have a sellout like that for sure. Any other comments? Okay, not seeing any. Sorry, Councillor McLeod Haggett.
Yes, through you, Mayor. Myself, Deputy Mayor Dietrich, and Miss Masu Colsom attended the OSIM conference last week. It was well attended, I think, given it was my first one, so I can't really say number wise. I found it was okay. Took the opportunity to network and build relationships with others. Also have further little conversations with my friends here on piecing a few things together that I was unsure of. We had some great conversations with the CAO from Innisfil, who explained their wastewater debt to us. And one comment that he made, which I thought was kind of interesting, was he looks at that type of essential service as a mortgage, not as a full-on debt. There was also the Moosehide campaign, which I thought was interesting. This is a day of awareness that happens on May 16th, and it's an international Indigenous-led grassroots movement to engage men and boys in ending violence towards women. So I would encourage you guys to take a look at their website. There's a lot of interesting stuff on there. Some of the other topics that we dealt with were revitalization of local media and landscape, different ways that we could check it out. I would encourage staff to maybe look at the Village Media website. I did a little deeper digging in that one, although we do appreciate Scott and Bailey's reporting that they do for us. It's great on what they do. Some other stuff was economic development, the different spectrums on that. Yeah, I wish I could. The big one I wanted was the strategies to address the big issues, the homelessness, employment, accessible, affordable, and sustainable housing. But I had to leave partway of day 2 for a family funeral. So yeah, I wish I could have been part of that one because that was one of my big interests. Yeah, overall it was good. So I look forward to AMO and meeting some more people and networking and building my knowledge from that.
Okay, great. Any other comments? Okay, not seeing any. Okay, good. I was invited this past weekend to participate in the Canadian Armed Forces exercise in Blythe, and very well received. There's 802 reservists were participating, so it was nice to see how they were doing their exercise, how they tied in with everyone, the police, the fire, all emergency services. So I've been to one before in the past, and it's just nice to see that we're ready to go if there's an emergency. With this was a heat wave scenario, and yeah, they did a great job. Nothing else at this point. Moving right along then, 14, we'll go to the communications. Go ahead, Mr. Sue Paulson, if you want to call them out.
Excuse me, 14.1, 14.2,
Pull.
14.3, 14.4,
Pull.
14.5, 14.6, 14.7,
And pull that.
14.8. Could pull that one.
Yeah, we'll pull that, please.
14.9. 14.10.
Pull that, please.
14.11. 14.12. 14.13.
Pull that.
14.14.
Okay. We'll move on. 14.2, Mr. Neeb.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Finch. So we received correspondence from Huron County Pride in regards to raising of the Pride flag, and I just wanted to double check to see if staff could send on the form for our flag as part of our flag policy. I know that we specifically designed this last year in regards to trying to create an equitable process for flag raising. So I just wanted to see if we could reach out to that group with that information.
Okay, I think, go to Mr. Collison, please.
So, and just to follow up to council, Huron County Pride, they did submit a flag flying request through the website, and it has been approved for the 2 weeks. The policy allows for flags to be flown up to 2 weeks, and they've been advised of all of this.
Excellent. And
Okay.
Councillor Oak, did you have something?
Yeah, I just was going to comment that it was in the operation notes that the 2 weeks at June 3rd to the 17th. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. 14.4, I believe. Councillor Neeb, go ahead.
Yeah, we received correspondence in regards to construction and the traffic. But one of the things in Mr. Sadler's comments was asking if staff or council could investigate 40 kilometer zones. And I know we just recently had done a pilot and on Huron Street and different areas of the municipality in Exeter to slow down the traffic. And I was just wondering if we could get an update on that pilot and or when we were going to get information from that pilot.
And Ms. Masood Carlson.
Through the mayor, there is a report coming back on that, as well as I know that they did put the armadillo out there as well as there's a speed sign. So there will be information coming back to council.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. And we move on to 14.7. I asked for that be pulled, and I was interested in attending that this year. I just need a support from council to go. Councillor Neeb and Councillor Oak, is there any discussion on that at all? I'll call the question, all in favor, and that carries with 7. Thank you. And 14.8, just turn to Ms. Masood Carlson. Any comments on that, please?
That South Huron Council authorizes the clerk to complete registration for the Thrive Summit in Blythe, held May 14th to 15th, 2024, for the following members of council, and we have Councillor Vaughn that will be attending. I didn't realize if there was anybody else that would be attending.
Anyone else interested? Okay, we have a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor McLeod Haggett. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor, and that carries with 7. Thank you. 14.10. I'll just turn to Ms. Masood Carlson on that for comment.
To the mayor for 14.10. This is a resolution regarding housing funding. At this point, we're in the same situation as Loyalist Township, as the municipality is a smaller municipality, so we have not been provided an allocation yet. Although there is 10% that is being held for all small rural north municipalities. There's just I think it would be good to support this resolution. Thanks.
So we have a mover for that, please. Councillor Oak and Councillor Neeb. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor. That carries. With 7. Thank you. Next item will be 14.13, and just turn to Ms. Masood Carlson for comment, please.
Through the mayor, I can say that a little while ago, we had some concerns with like, let's say, exotic animals that came to council. We do have an exotic bylaw, but if the province wanted to take this over, that might be an okay thing too. So this way it's not a municipal responsibility. So I would recommend support for this one as well.
Certainly a lot more teeth in the provincial law than a municipal bylaw, and they look after the enforcement part of it. So do we have a mover for that to support that? Councillor Vaughn and Councillor McLeod Haggett. Any discussion? Yes. Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 7. Just make sure everybody's listening. Next item, recommendation, please.
That South Huron Council receive communication items not otherwise dealt with.
And we have a mover, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Dietrich. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. There's no closed session, therefore no report from closed session. We go into our bylaws and Councillor Neep, thank you. Seven, 17.1, please.
This is for third and final, so that South Huron Council gives third and final reading to bylaw 13/2024, being a bylaw to provide for the Ford Municipal Drain 2024 in the municipality of South Huron.
And a mover, please. Councillor Dietrich, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dietrich. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Carries with 6. Thank you. And we'll call Mr. Need back in. There he comes. Move on to 18, please.
That South Huron Council gives first, second, third, and final reading to bylaw 28/2024, being a bylaw to confirm matters addressed at the April 8th, 2024 Council Priority Workshop and the May 6th, 2024 Council Meeting.
Excuse me, and the mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neves, second by Councillor Dietrich. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Next one, please.
That South Huron Council hereby adjourn at 7:05 PM to meet again on May 1st, 2024 at 6 PM or at the call of the chair.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Neeb. No discussion. Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you, and thank you everyone for attending tonight.